AITA. For using some of my stepson's camp savings to buy a replacement sneakers for my son? On mobile. My son Chris' 16th birthday was weeks ago. His mom, my ex-wife, couldn't be with him due to work but sent him a pair of Adidas sneakers as his birthday gift. Chris is a runner and he enjoys running every day as a way to relieve stress and anxiety. My stepson, Jake, 17, saw the sneakers and said they looked like the ones his favorite artist, Kane Brown, was wearing in Famous Friends music video, and so he got so hung up on them, always asking Chris to see them and try them on. Chris let him see them but not wear them because Jake has bigger feet and he was worried he might ruin them. Jake wanted to wear the sneakers in front of his friends but Chris didn't let him leave the house with them. Jake ended up sneaking out with them a couple of times, which made Chris hide them from him since he kept taking them without permission. Jake was no longer able to sneak out wearing the sneakers and begged Chris to let him wear them out. One last time in a party his friends had. Chris said no and Jake somehow was able to locate the sneakers, but instead of going out with them, he cut them with hand pruner and kept them in his room while Chris and I looked for them till his mom found them. Chris saw the damage and was upset. I grounded Jake and promised Chris to get a replacement, but when his mom called to tell me those sneakers are worth $600 and had to be replaced, I was in utter shock. I saw the recipient and even then I couldn't believe it because $600 is way more than I can afford. Chris' mom is a cardiologist, she can afford this stuff but I obviously can't. I was fuming. I let Jake know how much he messed up and told him I will be replacing the sneakers using the money he saved for his week-long summer camp. Jake had a meltdown and said he was already punished and it wasn't fair to punish him further. My wife thought I exaggerated and talked about how important summer camp is for Jake as he's been waiting for it for months. I let her know that Chris' mom is rightfully upset her gift for him got ruined, and because Jake acted out of spite and maliciousness, then it's only fair he'd pay for replacement. My wife assured me if Jake knew those sneakers were that expensive he would have never ever touched them, but thought Chris wasn't letting him borrow them on purpose. What's done is done and I made my decision final. Both my wife and Jake are giving me the silent treatment and refusing to talk about it. My wife thinks it's crazy to spend $600 on new sneakers. I agree, but those aren't mine, so needed replacement. So AITA? ETA that because Chris' mom sends somewhat expensive items to Chris, Jake would sometimes feel jealous, which is understandable. I make sure to treat both boys equally by getting them equal stuff. My wife thinks that Chris should be sharing with his brother and he does, but there are things that just cannot be shared. NTA. Seems like Jake is learning a hard lesson that actions have consequences. I am unsure where your wife is coming from. It doesn't matter how expensive the shoes were. Her son destroyed someone else's property. Maybe this will teach him to not destroy others' belongings before it becomes something super serious. NTA. And I do not believe for a second that Jake did not know the cost. He is a 17-year-old with internet access. You can bet your ass he looked up how much they were to see if he could get a pair. NTA. You are not punishing him further. Being grounded is his only punishment. Having to pay for the property he destroyed is simply having to take responsibility for his actions. When a thief is caught, him having to return whatever he stole is not punishment. It's simply taking responsibility and making amends. Prison time is the punishment. You might want to consider getting your stepson some therapy. This kind of obsession with somebody else's shoes doesn't sound healthy at all. NTA. And with how crazy Jake was for the sneakers and Chris's being smaller on him, I can almost promise Jake looked them up to see if he could get his own. He knew exactly what he was doing and should absolutely pay for them. He's 17, not a child. NTA. Doesn't matter if he didn't know the cost before ruining them. NTA. If summer camp was so important to him, he shouldn't have destroyed property then he would have had what he saved available. NTA. Jake doesn't seem to understand what the word no means. So better to teach him that lesson now before it's too late. I mean hell, 17 is almost too late. He 100% should have thought about the consequences of his actions. I.e. literally destroying property worth $600. Sounds like he's gotten away with a lot of shit in the past. NTA. He was obsessed with those sneakers, so knew exactly how much they cost. He destroyed them and hid them so you wouldn't find out either, and it has backfired on him. If you don't make him pay, he'll continue to behave like a spoiled brat and destroy others' property when he doesn't get his own way. NTA. If he wanted to wear them to impress his friends, then he knew they were expensive. He was well aware that we've cost a fair bit. Was jealous and damaged them. Actions have consequences. But thought Chris wasn't letting him borrow them on purpose. Okay, so what's wrong with purposefully not letting him borrow? It's an owner's choice whether he wants to lend anything to anyone or not. Also, your stepson sneaked out with them several times, but never was punished. That's so unfair to your son. If you are still gonna think taking your stepson's savings would be wrong, which actually is the right thing to do, then you gotta replace them with your own money. But replace them. Edit. Typo. NTA. My wife assured me if Jake knew those sneakers were that expensive he would have never ever touched them. Equals yeah, no, and 1. He likes them because they looked expensive. 2. It's really no excuse. And 3. He likened them to designer Kane Brown shoes, meaning he knows they're not generic Sneaker Depot knockoffs. My wife thinks it's crazy to spend $600 on new sneakers. I agree, but those aren't mine, so needed replacement. Equals how do you avoid spending $600 on sneakers? You don't destroy them out of jealousy. And in fairness, you aren't spending it. Knob Goblin Jake is. Make Jake learn that actions have consequences, no matter what he thinks he's entitled to. That's life. He's old enough to learn that lesson. Hell, he's old enough that he and your wife, apparently, should have learned that already. NTA. And absolutely the summer camp money should be used to replace the sneakers. Jake needs to learn a hard lesson that envy, deceit and stealing doesn't pay. Frankly, I'd be very concerned with Jake and his behavior. That's frightening. As for your wife saying that had he known the value he wouldn't have done it, is even more concerning. NTA. Being grounded doesn't get the sneakers back. Honestly, your wife is an asshole and probably the reason her son is a spoiled, thieving asshole. Something like this would make me reconsider the whole arrangement. It's one thing for a child to misbehave. It's another for a parent to condone it. I wouldn't want to be around that. What he did was malicious and destructive. Check with your son and make sure he feels safe. NTA. Jake is almost an adult. He should have learned good values years ago. He did not have permission to use Chris's sneakers. Became angry, jealous and stole them, then destroyed them out of spite. His actions will always have consequences. And sometimes that could be a financial thing. He needs to learn this lesson sooner rather than later. Maybe if the sneakers were somehow destroyed accidentally. Another way to solve this would be better. But this is not the case. His money should be used to replace the items, along with the punishment he's already serving. If this means he cannot enjoy camp, well, he should have thought about that before he behaved so badly. NTA. I'm pretty sure he would have known they were expensive considering he saw them in a music video, when he wasn't allowed to wear them. Even though they were too small, he deliberately destroyed them. Paying to replace them out of his savings will hopefully teach him to respect other people's property. NTA. What a horrible, jealous thing to do. NTA. And I highly doubt stepson didn't know how much those sneakers cost. He destroyed something out of spite and jealousy, and now he has to pay for it. It's a good life lesson, and that's a parent's job. NTA. Jake is 17. He is more than old enough to be responsible for his actions, which includes replacing things that he intentionally destroys. If he did something like this to a non-family member, he would absolutely have to pay them back. Plus probably have some sort of grounding at home. It shouldn't be any different because the person whose property he destroyed happens to be family. NTA. Actions have consequences. He is old enough to know better. And he was purposely malicious. He deserves the punishment. NTA. He destroyed his sneakers, so he has to pay for new ones. You break it, you buy it.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Aircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.